Massive breaking news here at Occupy Democrats. You do not want to look away. You have to see what Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump just pulled. It is unbelievable, and it is not only damaging democracy, it is the denigration of democracy. Wait until you see this breaking story. I'm going to get straight into it. This happened in 5 steps. Let's start with the first one, right here with Trump and the filibuster.
Overnight, President Trump calling on Republicans in Congress to take action and change the rules in the Senate to reopen the government with a simple majority vote instead of the 60 votes currently needed. The president posting online, it's now time for Republicans to play their Trump card and go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now.
And then, of course, what Trump did was he signed the bill to actually reopen the government.
And it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. Thank you.
The government is reopening after the longest shutdown in U.S. history.
But then what happened is the new Epstein emails dropped. Whoopsie.
This morning, the bombshell release of what House Democrats say are emails to and from deceased convicted ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein, several referring to President Donald Trump by name. In an April 2011 email released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, lawmakers say Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, 3 years after pleading guilty to crimes involving a minor, telling her, "I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Unnamed victims spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." According to the released emails, Maxwell responds, "I have been thinking about that."
But because the bill was signed and the House was open, they had to go ahead and swear in Adelita Grijalva. This.
And the representative-elect will raise her right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, you're now a member of the 119th Congress.
But because she was going to be the deciding vote in the discharge petition to open and actually expose all the Epstein files, all of a sudden Trump and Pam Bondi and everybody put the big pressure on Lauren Boebert. This.
The Trump administration and President Trump appeared to be in something of a full court press to try and stop the discharge petition from working. Sources are telling CNN the top Trump administration officials held a meeting on this issue, not just at the White House, but in the Situation Room. Now, according to multiple sources, the meeting was said to have included the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado. Boebert is one of the 4 Republican members of the House who has signed the petition.
And in the end, what just happened today, just now, after only being open in the House for 8 hours, Mike Johnson shut it down again to avoid having to vote on the discharge position. Look at this breaking story and stay with it the whole way through. This is so very important right here. Massive breaking news. Most disappointing member. Colleagues skewer Speaker Johnson as House closes again. Washington, the federal government may be open, but the House of Representatives is closed for business again. The record-shattering 43-day-long shutdown coincided with an impromptu 53-day vacation for House Republicans. To end the shutdown, Speaker Mike Johnson had to call the House back in session. He did, for roughly 8 hours Wednesday. Then he gave House members the rest of the week off. In quotes, what do you make of Speaker Johnson? Ross Story asked Representative Don Beyer, Democrat of Virginia, "You guys have just been gone for like more than a month, but you guys are just there for one day and then you're gone?" In quotes, he's the most disappointing member of the U.S. Congress, Beyer said just off the Capitol steps Wednesday. There was an opportunity to do a lot of other work that needs to be done in committee after committee, and that didn't get done. Instead of making up for lots of lost time, Congress still intends to take off the full weeks around Thanksgiving and Christmas. That means there are only 4 more legislative weeks in the year, and when the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, the 2026 midterm elections formally begin, which historically has meant an end to most legislating funding in Washington. Still, Johnson's all smiles for the camera. In quotes, Republicans are going to deliver for the people, he told reporters this week. We're ready to get back to our legislative agenda. We have a very aggressive calendar for the remainder of this year. There'll be some long days and nights here, some long working weekends, but we will get this thing back on track. That's what Democrats are afraid of. The reason House members got a 53-day vacation, even as the longest shutdown in history lasted 43 days, is because after the House passed its initial continuing resolution to fund the government on September 19th, it left town, even though government funding didn't run out until October 1st. Johnson intended to jam the Senate by forcing the upper chamber to either adopt or reject the House measure. It took 53 days for senators to craft their own compromise that needed the House to come back to town and sign off. It did so, and President Donald Trump signed the bill into law on Wednesday night. Frustrated House Democrats accused Johnson of living in la-la land, in part because the new measure reopening the federal government expires as soon as January 30th. In quotes, we should be here every day to make up for the 53 days we weren't here, Representative Johanna Hayes, Democrat of Connecticut, told Ross Story on the Capitol steps. But also what we did was just gave ourselves another deadline. So we need to start working. We should have been working from October 1st to meet that deadline. A formerly bankrupt businessman occupies the White House, a fact not lost on Democrats. Well, if you were dealing with corporate management, you'd probably say it wasn't too efficient. Representative Danny Davis of Illinois told Ross Story just off the floor of the House about the funding process. You'd probably say you'd find a little bit more to manage. In quotes, it feels like they're just putting Trump in the driver's seat by being gone for upwards of a month, Ross Story asked. It does, and I think that's what he liked, Davis said, and I think that's what they like, in quotes, and so it's kind of like a camel humping to please, and I think they're trying very hard to stay in the good graces of the president. Please him, please him, please him, please him. One thing that likely displeased Trump on Wednesday after delaying for weeks, Johnson was forced to swear in Representative Adelita Grijalva, Democrat of Arizona. She immediately joined a majority of her House colleagues in signing a discharge petition which forces Johnson to bring up for a vote a measure demanding the Trump administration release the full Epstein files. The former January 6, 2021 committee members like Representative Zoe Lofgren, it's clear the Speaker kept the House out to forestall seating Grijalva. In quotes, I think it's about the legislative days to ripen the discharge position, Lofgren told Ross Story while walking through the Capitol. Like others on the left, Lofgren felt her suspicions were only confirmed by Wednesday's release of the new emails from the late ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein that directly named Trump. In quotes, wow, Lofgren said of the documents released by the House Oversight Committee. Wow. Many Democrats fear Republicans' absence from Washington for the past month made Trump's case that the White House holds all the power. In quotes, we adjourn when Trump wanted us to adjourn. We come back whenever Trump gives the okay or the directive to come back, and what we consider is what his agenda is, Representative Hank Johnson of Georgia told Ross Story. Congress is blatantly subjugating itself to executive authority, Johnson said. Like most on the left, Johnson says he's disappointed because Speaker Johnson, a constitutional lawyer by trade, is ceding Congress's constitutional powers. In quotes, the House is no longer acting as an independent Article I institution. It's an organ of Article II, Johnson said. That's revolutionary in and of itself, especially when the Supreme Court is giving away legislative power. End quote. So it's a double whammy in our democracy. After 249 years, this experiment is under direct assault from both the executive and the judicial branches. Republicans aren't buying that, especially when it comes to the continuing resolution to keep the government funded at mostly last year's numbers. Far from it. Republicans are cheering for themselves. End quote. So this is not just for today thing, Van Orden said. It's an amazing thing for America today, and it comes to you from the Republican Party. Rank-and-file Republicans argue the extended recesses the Republican majority just gave itself impact to the other 9 full-year spending bills Congress has to fund before January 30th. In quotes, we've already read them. They're nothing new. They already passed through the committee a long time ago, Van Orden said. In order to get back to regular order, you got to get back to regular order. Throughout the shutdown, House Democrats held in-person caucus meetings at the Capitol, along with occasional press conferences, even as Speaker Johnson addressed the cameras himself. In quotes, in his daily press conferences, he just lied again and again and again, said Beyer from Virginia. He also used the most extreme language, this Marxist and communist and all this crazy stuff. I mean, I'm not big into name calling, especially things that are sort of disconnected from reality. Also, I thought there was a pettiness and a meanness about the way he managed this place, locking all the doors, not lifting the security barriers. Of course, staff had to wait in line 30-45 minutes to get in the morning because they would lock all the doors. But beyond abused employees or hurt feelings, Democrats feel their base was energized by the shutdown. In quotes, I believe the American people are ready to stand up and insist that we rehabilitate and strengthen this democracy for the next 250 years, said Johnson from Georgia. The people are enlivened, even even if the House has been MIA. That's right. They're even more engaged now, Johnson said. They're more aware of the stakes of what this democracy means for their pocketbooks, for their ability to afford to live in this country, and people are connecting the dots. They're recognizing that MAGA, Trump, and Republicans are all about tax cut for billionaires and multimillionaires and tariffs for everyone else. It's getting to be unbearable. The American people want relief, so they have become even more attuned to what's happening since this shutdown began, and they're going to be engaged next year in these elections. Hayes, the Connecticut Democrat, said her party's fight wasn't about the midterms. In quotes, the midterms are a long way off, and a lot of people are going to get screwed between now and then, Hayes told Raw Story. So our goal can't be we fix this in the midterm. We work every day to do something, anything, or, get caught trying. There's nothing else to say, folks. That is literally the gerrymandering, king, absolute power example of where we are with Donald Trump. Screw Congress, screw the legislative branch, screw the judicial branch, because you got the attorney general in your back pocket, you got the speaker of the House in your back pocket, and this is how justice is not served. Once again, Donald Trump has his thumb on everything. You guys like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, stay frosty.